Tempus AI just released its latest earnings, and wow, the numbers are pretty staggering. We're going to break down all the key results and explain why this quarter isn't just a win for them, it might just be a huge turning point for AI in medicine. All right, let's get into it.
So let me start with a question. Imagine you've been working toward one single, massive goal for an entire decade. What does that moment look like when you finally cross the finish line? Well, for Tempus AI, it looks a little something like this. First up, the big number on top, a whopping $333 million in revenue for the quarter. That's a solid beat on what everyone was expecting. But a big number, that's really just one part of the story. Because what's truly incredible is the growth. We're talking just shy of 85% year over year. That kind of acceleration is wild in any industry, but in the super complex world of biotech and data, that is a huge statement. And all of this leads to the biggest reveal of the quarter. And here it is. This is the punchline. For the very first time in its history, Tempus hit positive adjusted EBITDA. Now, in simple terms, that just means their core business is now officially profitable. This is the moment they have been grinding towards for 10 years. So yeah, this isn't just another good quarter. The CEO, Eric Lefkowski, he called it a key milestone and a 10-year goal. Hitting this signals a really fundamental shift for the company. They're moving out of that phase of just pure growth and investment and into a new era of sustainable, profitable expansion. So, the big question is, how did they do it? Well, the answer comes down to two really powerful parts of the business that are just firing on all cylinders right now. Let's break down these twin growth engines. This success is really coming from two different places. On one side, you have Genomics. That's the physical tests they sell that help guide cancer therapy. That part of the business grew by an incredible 33%. Then, on the other side, you have data licensing, where they provide their massive library of anonymized data for research. And that business grew even faster, at 38%. Both engines are absolutely roaring. And if we dig into those genomics numbers a little bit more, you can see this isn't about some one-hit wonder. Their main oncology testing volume up 27%, and their hereditary cancer testing jumped an amazing 37%. It just shows there's really broad, strong demand for everything they're offering. And the momentum on the data side is just as nuts. Get this, in this quarter alone, Tempus booked $150 million in new data contracts. That's on top of other huge deals from earlier this year. It is crystal clear that the demand for their unique data is just taking off. So this all brings up a really important question. In such a competitive field with some really big, well-funded companies, how is Tempus pulling ahead? Well, it really boils down to two things, just plain good execution and a powerful advantage that's super hard to copy. The first reason is pretty simple. They're just executing better. The CEO was really candid. He admitted that past shakeups in their sales force actually caused havoc. But that's over. Now the team is trained up, they're efficient, and they're firing on all cylinders, which, translates directly into more tests being ordered. But the bigger story, the real secret sauce here, is their competitive moat. See, Tempus has spent a decade building this one-of-a-kind library of data that connects a person's genetic info with their actual clinical records. This integrated data set is something you just can't build overnight, and it's what makes both their tests and their data deals so incredibly valuable. Okay, so profitability is a huge milestone, checked off the list, but the company's already looking ahead to the next wave of growth. Let's take a look at the key things coming up that could really propel them even further. First up is a big one, getting paid more for each test they sell. The path to doing that is to get their liquid biopsy tests, XOF and XOR, fully approved by the FDA. You see, that approval unlocks this special status called ADLT, which is basically the golden ticket to getting much higher reimbursement rates. That would boost revenue for every single test they sell. Next up is the massive market for what's called minimal residual disease, or MRD testing. Think of these as ultra-sensitive tests that can spot even the tiniest trace of cancer left after treatment. Tempus has a strong lineup here, and their plan is to strategically ramp up their sales efforts as soon as the reimbursement pathways are clear. And finally, their recent acquisition of Paige AI is about to create some really powerful new abilities. This means, for example, that even if a genetic sequence test fails, an AI looking at a pathology slide could still find the answer. It means getting a critical insight in maybe 2 days instead of 2 weeks. This integration just makes their whole platform faster, smarter, and way more powerful. So
All of this leads to maybe the biggest, most forward-looking idea from the entire earnings call. It's a vision that reframes the company, not just as a diagnostics lab, but as something, well, something much, much bigger.
This quote from the CEO points to a massive paradigm shift. He's thinking about a future where the healthcare system doesn't just pay for a physical test, but for a predictive algorithm. See, unlike a test kit, which is hard to scale, you could sell a life-saving algorithm to millions of people instantly. It's all about distributing zeros and ones with almost infinite scale.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. We always think of blockbuster drugs as, pills in a bottle. But what if the next billion-dollar therapy isn't a molecule at all, but a piece of code? That is the ultimate ambition Tempest is building toward. And if they pull it off, it could honestly change everything.